Listen, this is the sound of the 20th century. A symphony of steel, chemical explosives, and mechanization. In World War II, the individual warrior was supposed to be obsolete, replaced by the machine. Death was no longer personal. It was calculated by coordinates and blast radiuses. But amidst the thunder of artillery, one man chose to play a different tune. While the world rushed towards the atomic age, Lieutenant Colonel John Malcolm Thorpe Fleming Churchill decided to step back into the Middle Ages. They called him Mad Jack. They said he was insane, a suicidal eccentric, a relic. But Jack Churchill was the only soldier in the entire war to carry a sword into a gunfight and win.
He is the only man in recorded history to fell a Nazi soldier with a longbow. This is not a myth. This is not a movie. This is the story of the last Highlander. To understand the madness, you must first understand the man. Jack Churchill was born in 1906, but his spirit seemed to belong to the era of King Arthur. He was a graduate of the Royal Military Academy at Sandhurst, a professional soldier. But peace bored him. He found the structured, polite life of the interwar British Army suffocating. He left the military to seek adventure, and he found it everywhere. He worked as a newspaper editor in Nairobi. He represented Great Britain in the World Archery Championships in Oslo. He played the bagpipes professionally. He even appeared as a background actor in movies, showcasing his archery skills. He was a Renaissance man, a romantic in a cynical world. But he was waiting for a stage grand enough for his talents. When Germany invaded Poland in 1939, most of the world trembled.
Jack Churchill celebrated. He immediately rejoined the British Army, while others wrote somber letters home, fearing they would never return. Jack purportedly said, "I am back in my red coat. The country's in the pink." But he would not fight like a modern officer. He looked at the standard-issue Webley revolver and the Lee Enfield rifle with disdain. He reached into his family's history and pulled out a basket-hilted Scottish broadsword, a Claymore. His fellow officers stared. They asked him why. His response became legend. "In my opinion, sir, any officer who goes into action without his sword is improperly dressed." May 1940. The German blitzkrieg had shattered the Allied defense. The British Expeditionary Force was in full retreat towards Dunkirk. It was a humiliation, a disaster. Morale was breaking. Men were discarding their weapons to run faster. But in the village of Lep in Net, Jack Churchill was not running. He was hunting. Jack was commanding a company of the Manchester Regiment. He saw a German patrol approaching, a squad of infantry, confident, believing the British were already beaten. Jack signaled his men to hold their fire. A machine gun ambush would have been effective, but Jack wanted to send a message of primal fear. He raised his longbow, the weapon of Agincourt, the weapon of Crécy.
The German felt viable. The sergeant leading the patrol was walking point. He was scanning for rifle barrels. He was listening for the click of a bolt. He was not looking for a medieval archer. Jack drew the string to his ear. The weight was over 100 pounds. He took a breath. 30 yards. The arrow flew faster than the eye could follow. The arrow struck the German sergeant in the chest. It pierced his body. He fell without a scream. For a split second, the other German soldiers were frozen. They didn't understand. There was no gunshot, just their leader, dead with a wooden shaft protruding from his heart. Then Jack dropped his hand. His machine gunners opened fire.
The patrol was decimated, but history had been made. That nameless German sergeant holds a tragic distinction. The only verified casualty of World War II to be killed by a longbow. As the British Army crumbled, Jack Churchill stood tall, proving that the old ways still had teeth. After Dunkirk, Jack Churchill volunteered for the Commandos. The Commandos were a new breed created by Winston Churchill. They were designed to be butcher and bolt raiders, aggressive, unconventional. It was the perfect home for Mad Jack. December 27, 1941, Operation Archery. A daring raid on the German garrison at Vogsoy, Norway. The plan was a dawn assault. The landing craft approached the frozen shore. The Germans were waiting in concrete bunkers and fortified warehouses. Inside the lead boat, the tension was suffocating. The ramp prepared to drop. Normally, men would scream or pray or vomit. Jack Churchill played a song. As the ramp fell, Jack strode onto the beach, playing the March of the Cameron Men on his bagpipes.
Imagine the scene from the German perspective. You are a German conscript. You are waiting for soldiers. Instead, out of the smoke comes a demon. A man in a kilt, playing the screeching instrument, marching upright into machine gun fire. He finished the tune. He threw a grenade. He drew his sword, and he screamed, "Commando!" Psychological warfare is often subtle. This was not. This was shock and awe. Jack charged a German battery, his sword flashing in the cold light. He was miles ahead of his men. A German demolition team was attempting to blow up the coastal artillery to prevent capture. Jack charged them. Seeing a madman sprinting at them with a broadsword, the Germans simply froze. They surrendered. Jack captured the entire position and the prisoners. His report to headquarters was brief. Mani Coast Battery and Island captured. Casualties slight. Demolitions in progress. Churchill. He had taken a fortress with a sword. It is easy to dismiss Jack Churchill as a lunatic, but there was a method to his madness.
In the confusion of close-quarters combat, a gun can jam. A gun runs out of bullets. But a sword never jams. A sword never needs reloading. And more importantly, a sword is terrifying. No German soldier was trained to fight a swordsman. It broke their conditioning. It disrupted their OODA loop. Observe, orient,
decide, act. By the time they processed what they were seeing, Jack was already upon them. At WW2 Story, we believe that the human element of war is often stranger than fiction. If you want to hear more stories of the men who defied the odds and the era, make sure to subscribe. We resurrect a forgotten victory every week.
1943. The invasion of Italy. Jack Churchill was now commanding No. 2 Commando. At the town of Pigoletti, his unit was tasked with capturing an observation post. It was heavily defended. Jack decided to go out on a night patrol. He took only one man with him, a corporal named Ruffle, and of course his sword. In the darkness, Jack utilized pure stealth. He located a German sentry post. Instead of shooting, Jack stepped out of the shadows, sword raised, his face a mask of fury. He hissed at the German, "Hände lock!" The terrifying sight of the blade at his throat paralyzed the soldier. Jack disarmed him. But then he did something incredible. He used the prisoner as a shield. He marched him to the next sentry post. He poked the prisoner with his sword and forced him to tell his comrades to surrender. One by one, foxhole by foxhole, like a domino effect of fear. "There is a madman with a sword. Surrender, or he will cut you down." That night, Jack Churchill and Corporal Ruffle returned to the Allied lines. They were not alone. Walking in a column behind them were 42 German prisoners, captured by one man and a piece of steel. He marched them back, carrying his sword under his arm like a walking stick. But luck, even for a legend, is a finite resource. 1944, Yugoslavia. Jack was organizing a joint attack with Tito's partisans on the German-held island of Bracht. The objective. Point 622. It was a suicide mission. The partisans were brave, but they were slaughtered by German flanking fire. Jack led his commandos up the hill. Point 622 became a meat grinder. Within hours, only 6 commandos were left alive. They were pinned down, surrounded. Mortar fire was walking closer, bracketed on their position. Jack looked at his men. He knew the end had come. He had no arrows left. His sword was chipped, so he chose to meet death with dignity. He took out his pipes. Amidst the screams of the dying and the roar of explosives, a lonely melody drifted across the battlefield. "Will ye no come back again?" A song of farewell. A German grenade landed in their midst. The explosion killed the last of his men. Jack was knocked unconscious by the blast. The music stopped. When the German infantry advanced to check the bodies, they found him. They expected to find a corpse. Instead, they found a British officer, alive, clutching a musical instrument. The SS moved to execute him immediately, but a German captain, perhaps sensing the extraordinary nature of this prisoner, intervened. "You do not shoot a man like this." Mad Jack
was captured. He was sent to Sachsenhausen concentration camp. For most men, this was a sentence of slow death. For Jack, it was a puzzle to be solved. The Germans thought he was a high-valued target, mistakenly believing he was a relative of Winston Churchill. They chained him, they watched him, but you cannot cage a Highlander. In September 1944, Jack and an RAF officer crawled under the wire through an abandoned drain. They escaped. They walked 200 kilometers toward the Baltic coast, navigating by the stars, hoping to reach Sweden. They were mere miles from freedom when they were recaptured. He was moved to a new camp in Austria. The SS were guarding them. As the war ended, the SS guards debated executing the prisoners to hide the evidence. Jack didn't wait for their decision.
The objective, point 622. It was a suicide mission. The partisans were brave, but they were slaughtered by German flanking fire. Jack led his commandos up the hill. Point 622 became a meat grinder. Within hours, only 6 commandos were left alive. They were pinned down, surrounded. Mortar fire was walking closer, bracketed on their position. Jack looked at his men. He knew the end had come. He had no arrows left. His sword was chipped. So he chose to meet death with dignity. He took out his pipes. Amidst the screams of the dying and the roar of explosives, a lonely melody drifted across the battlefield. Will ye no come back again? A song of farewell. A German grenade landed in their midst. The explosion killed the last of his men. Jack was knocked unconscious by the blast. The music stopped. When the German infantry advanced to check the bodies, they found him. They expected to find a corpse. Instead, they found a British officer, alive, clutching a musical instrument. The SS moved to execute him immediately, but a German captain, perhaps sensing the extraordinary nature of this prisoner, intervened. You do not shoot a man like this. Mad Jack was captured. He was sent to Sachsenhausen concentration camp. For most men, this was a sentence of slow death. For Jack, it was a puzzle to be solved. The Germans thought he was a high-value target, mistakenly believing he was a relative of Winston Churchill. They chained him, they watched him, but you cannot cage a Highlander. In September 1944, Jack and an RAF officer crawled under the wire through an abandoned drain. They escaped. They walked 200 kilometers towards the Baltic coast, navigating by the stars, hoping to reach Sweden. They were mere miles from freedom when they were recaptured. He was moved to a new camp in Austria. The SS were guarding them. As the war ended, the SS guards debated executing the prisoners to hide the evidence. Jack didn't wait for their decision. During a power outage, he simply walked away. He walked 150 kilometers across the Alps. He had no food. He lived on vegetables he stole from gardens. He cooked them in a rusty tin can he found on the roadside. He walked until he saw the green armor of an American recon unit. He was free. But Jack Churchill was not happy.
The war in Europe was over. The Nazis had surrendered. The world rejoiced. Jack was flown to Burma. He was eager to join the fight against Japan. This was the Pacific Theater, jungle warfare, perfect for a bow and sword. But as he arrived in India, the sky over Hiroshima turned white. The atomic bomb, the ultimate triumph of the machine over the man. The war ended before Jack could draw his sword one last time. While others cried tears of relief, Jack Churchill was heard grumbling to a friend. His words perfectly encapsulated his spirit. "If it wasn't for those damn Yanks, we could have kept the war going another 10 years." Jack Churchill retired from the army in 1959, but the madness never left him. He became a surfing enthusiast, the first man to surf the Severn River's tidal bore. He would startle train conductors by throwing his briefcase out of the train window into his own backyard every day as he passed his house, just so he wouldn't have to carry it home from the station. He died in 1996 at the age of 89. In an era of tanks, jets, and nuclear bombs, Jack Churchill proved something profound. He proved that technology changes, tactics change, but the warrior spirit is timeless. He was the soldier who brought a sword to a gunfight, and against all odds, he was the one who walked away. This is W2's story, where forgotten victories surface again. From the eccentric to the heroic, we cover it all. If you enjoyed the legend of Mad Jack, like this video and tell us in the comments, was he mad or was he the bravest of them all? See you in the next battle.